Hello everyone, I'm Lori Torrini, an animal trainer and behaviorist, and I'm happy to be able to offer you the use of this cooperative care training manual for Morelia Bredl under captive management on behalf of Unity Environmental University. So what is cooperative care? It's training animals to voluntarily participate in their own management, and it includes choice-based interactions, consent and agency, least intrusive principles, classical and operant conditioning, and positive reinforcement training. Cooperative care is important because it facilitates low stress interactions and it improves keeper safety. So you might be thinking, well, why would you do that? Why would you not just grab the snake out of their habitat and put them where you want them? Well, when a snake is voluntarily participating in their own care, it reduces fear, anxiety, and distress. And the use of choice, the opportunity to experience choice, decreases defensiveness and enhances well-being. So rather than the snake being forcefully handled and forced to exit their enclosure or forced to do some behavior against their will, when they are choosing to do the behavior, they're doing it willingly and voluntarily, they're going to have a positive emotional valence about that experience, and they're going to be more likely to engage with keepers, and it's going to improve safety for keepers and reduce fear, anxiety, and stress for the snake. The purpose of this manual is to teach keepers how to use classical and operant conditioning with Morelia Bredl under captive management. It's in order to teach keepers how to use cooperative care behaviors specifically for low stress management. It contains examples of these methods with Morelia Bredl and a few other snakes. It contains detailed shaping and training plans as to how to successfully implement these methods with the snakes, and it also contains extensive information about how this benefits the snakes, and that can primarily be found in the training philosophy section. So the manual's contents include Chapter 1, Training Methods. This is where operant and classical conditioning are explained in detail, as well as what choice-based interactions are. Chapter 2 is the training philosophy. That is really going to emphasize how important it is to try and incorporate cooperative care under captive management, because it just enhances well-being and improves the welfare of the animals. Chapter 3 is a species overview. Morelia Bredl are non-venomous constrictor snakes that are endemic to the area around Alice Springs, Australia. And this section is going to go over their natural history and specifically how you can use their natural history and natural behavior to arrange the training environment and conduct training and cooperative care. Chapter 4 are training applications. This is where you're going to find the specific shaping plans, the specific step-by-step training guides as to how to teach specific behaviors to the Bredl's pythons. Chapter 5 is just a quick reference guide. So if you're already experienced in training and you've already been training the snakes, it's something to glance at real quickly before you do a session to just give you a reminder of how to set up the environment, think about your antecedent arrangement, and what training equipment and reinforcers you're going to need. There's also an extensive bibliography. The bibliography is about 9 pages long. This is a well-researched resource, and there are lots of peer-reviewed references if you want to take deeper dives into any of these topics that are available to you in the bibliography. The manual also contains a glossary of relevant terms. These are not just general training terms, but these are going to be terms that are specific to snakes and specific to Bredl's pythons. For example, it defines ambush posture. So you will get to read an operational definition of what that means. The appendix contains training theory infographics. So if you're a visual learner, you will be able to look at these infographics and see exactly what classical conditioning is, what shaping is, and even different methods of shaping like capturing, luring, and target training. It's got a species ethogram. So specific behaviors that are common to Morelia Bredl, they're operationally defined, and there are some photographic examples of what these look like. There's a couple of pages on general Morelia Bredl behavior and how to read their body language. And then there's a sample behavior management plan that is going to tell you how to use operant and classical conditioning, positive reinforcement training, and cooperative care to fix perceived behavior issues that you are having with your captive snakes. I mentioned that the manual goes over exactly how to use classical conditioning with Bredl's pythons. Here is an infographic that tells you exactly how to do that. Bredl's pythons innately get into an ambush posture when prey is around. They innately get into their hunting behavior when prey is present. And so if you pair an animal training target enough times with the snake's prey item, eventually they will start assuming an ambush posture and exhibit their hunting behavior at the presence of the target alone. Let's look at an example. In this example, you see a Morelia Bredli in ambush position. As soon as she sees the training target, she starts to hunt, and then she is given a food reinforcer. This is an example of how to use classical conditioning with Bredl's pythons. The manual also teaches various ways that you can use operant conditioning with Morelia Bredli. That means that there is a cue that no longer signals something is going to happen no matter what, but that there's a cue that signals to the Bredl's python that they can earn reinforcement contingent upon doing some other behavior first. In this case, this is showing shifting to a station and the snake automatically coming out of their enclosure, shifting to the station. This is called capturing. You just wait for the snake to do this on their own. Then you reinforce them with a food reward or something else they find reinforcing. Let's take a look at an example of that. This is a snake voluntarily shifting out of their primary habitat and onto a station. They are not getting reinforced with food at this time. The experience is reinforcing in itself. And so in this particular instance, the snake repeats this behavior over and over upon presentation of the station being adjacent to their enclosure with the open door because they find freedom reinforcing. This is another example of operant conditioning that the manual is going to go over in detail. So this is using shifting to a station via targeting. So the animal's already been trained to follow a training target, and now you can use that training target to cue the animal to exit their enclosure and shift onto a station. And once they get there, they're reinforced with a food reward or something else they find reinforcing. Let's take a look at an example of that. This is an example of a Morelia Bredli shifting out of their primary habitat and onto a portable station. This station can be moved into a car, it can be moved into a large carrier, it can be moved onto an exam table, it can be moved onto a scale. The challenge with this shifting behavior is the Bredl's python has to delay reinforcement and have the patience to follow the target into a specific body position, because this is a 6-foot long snake. And if I want to weigh this snake, the entire snake has to be on this station so that I can move it to a scale. And this behavior has been shaped through successive approximations and the use of operant conditioning. This is that same snake doing that same behavior at the veterinarian's office. He shifted out of his transport carrier onto the same station that you just saw. And here on the right, you see that he is completely on that station. And so now we can move it to a scale to weigh him. We can move it to the exam table to have him examined. The manual also includes visual guides of stress behaviors and how to recognize the different stress levels, comfortable and relaxed, nervous and worried, or fearful and distressed, and also common body language that you would see in snakes in general. Here's an example of how to use those guides. If you look on the left, you see I've highlighted loose coils. That's an indication of a resting behavior. Under the green zone are comfortable and relaxed. And if you look at this photo, that's exactly what you're seeing. So the guides are all very user-friendly like this. This has been an extremely brief overview of what is a very extensive manual, and I encourage you to use it at your facility if you are managing a captive population of Morelia Bredli, or even if you're just managing one animal. The benefits of cooperative care training on the welfare of Bredl's pythons is immense. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact me. And otherwise, please remember to always be kind and love your animals.